it.
On the audio, yeah. So you can look for the clap audio.
Now, this brings me to my first question. How are you so savvy already at such a young age?
I don't think I'm very savvy.
You're astute.
I don't know about that. I think I don't know. I mean, maybe the difference is growing up with it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Astute. That's a big word.
Yeah.
Astute.
Yeah, I do think about how how much respect I have for generations before me, I guess, doing Tascam audio 4-track recordings and stuff like that, and then just having when I started making music,
right?
I already had YouTube tutorials to show me everything I did in these really expansive programs.
Yeah.
But
and you got super good at it too.
Well, thank you. I mean, it's super. It's competitive as anything now, and so it's I feel like a required reading is YouTube videos. It's like summer reading.
Yeah, that's inspiring me because I just just for the folks, I've been working with. Do I just refer to you as Grandma, or can I also use your first name?
You can use my full name. You can use my middle
Liam.
name.
I can say Liam as well.
Yeah.
Grandma, everybody, this is Grandma. He just released his first single, came out yesterday, but this podcast will come out, of course, a week and 5 minutes from now, or at least 2
weeks from
But
now.
anyway, he just released his first single. It's a very exciting time to be Grandma right now.
Absolutely. No, it's been super great so far. Joseph and I have been writing for a long time.
Yeah.
For about a year.
We're getting into it.
We're getting into a year, but it's been upwards of, I think, 30. I was trying to count before I got here.
How many songs?
Yeah, I think it's 30.
Man, it's been, honestly, this is going to sound like I'm blowing smoke, but it has been a true joy of my life this year working with this guy. I'm just, that's not smoke.
The craziest part is some of them are okay. Some songs are actually...
Some of them are damn good. And I got to say, too, the ones he writes without me are damn good, too. That first single is killer, Shallow Water.
Well, thank you. But
fucking love it, mate.
I don't know. I mean, I get most excited about the ones we write, I think, because... it's so well. First of all, it's easy, and it just you make it feel effortless at least. And I think not to do too much of a circle jerk here or anything, but we're just tooting our horns here. But
right.
No, it's been very, very cool. I mean, I just think finding the words in the alphabet soup and having everything come to us is.
Pretty fun.
It's just a lot of bouncing.
Well, it's complimentary, and here's what I was about to say too about the production thing is that, and this is it's gonna get into a circle jerk thing, but this dude is so good at producing and in the laptop, and I mean I've been making records for 20-something a million years, and it's but watching him fly around with the laptop But it's not even just facility with a laptop. It's also just really smart minimalism, not overstuffing things, and it's and just able to make great beats. And it's I'm not even really motivated to participate necessarily on that level, but I love to when he sort of he sort of runs the show when you're working with him, and it's great. It's just it's a wonderful, it's fun, but it is inspiring me I want to get good at Ableton the way you're good at Logic, I
want to get good at Ableton the way I'm good at Logic too.
Yeah.
That program is so cool.
You think it's better than Logic?
I don't know if it's better, but the friends of mine that are really good with it are I'm jealous of the stuff they're able to create with that program.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for sure.
Different than Logic. Okay, that's interesting. I remember we did some sessions out in LA too where there was 3 different producers all with laptops up. And and we had some guy with Fruity Loops over here, and then
shout out Ghost Rage.
Shout out Ghost Rage. We got to throw some shout outs. Shout out Ghost Rage. Yeah, he's got Fruity Loops, right?
Yeah, he uses FL.
And just makes the crushingest beats with it. It's insane. It's just
Yeah, for sure. No, it's
Yeah.
That sounds like a breakfast cereal.
What?
Fruity Loops.
Fruity Loops. Yeah. Well, it's a program. It's
it's
one. There's Logic, Pro Tools, Ableton.
But it is one letter away from a very popular breakfast cereal.
Yeah.
You were this guy's got Fruity Loops. I was you guys were having breakfast.
They really didn't try. I mean, they with as far as naming that or detaching it from General Mills.
That's true. Yeah, but
Frosty Flakes.
But what's funny though is Ghost Rage will make the meanest beats with a program called Fruity Loops. Like it's
Yeah.
like
on
it's
his
hard.
Windows Dell
I was gonna say
Yeah.
it
with like an anime screensaver. It's the funny.
Oh,
it's-
and the same mouse he's had forever or something, because it's
Yeah.
like he's nostalgic about it. He doesn't want to
Yeah.
get an updated thing, which is really
Yeah.
interesting. And then Liam breaks out his laptop, which is modern and Mac and kick-ass. Anyway,
Yeah.
but it's Logic, and then there's that other. What was that other guy who had Ableton up that one session? That helped with the no doors transition.
Cure, yeah,
Cure.
aka
Shout
Chris.
out to Cure.
The philanthropist.
When you guys do all that
Yeah.
with the laptop stuff, do you have to be in the studio, or you could be at somebody's like backyard doing
No, we
the
could
exact
be.
same
A lot
thing?
of times we were at Donnie Graves. We wrote most of the songs at Donnie Graves' house. Shout out Donnie Graves. But I was gonna say though, it was like what's been cool about working with Liam is just like all of a sudden coming into those sort of more modern music making realms, and just seeing how it's going down as opposed to the way I sort of came up through, which was the much more sort of traditional.
A lot of external
Route.
hard drives. A lot of
And just multiple laptops.
Yeah,
and people like
it's fun.
Yeah,
Like I just had the chance to do this writing camp for this rapper named Kyle, and it was basically they just rented out this like villa, like 4-story mansion in Beverly Hills, and with little effort had basically 4 pretty fully functioning studios to record out of. And it really doesn't take much, except, a pair of studio monitors, USB interface, your laptop, and your microphone, you're ready to go.
and just making sick sounding records too. It's just like, it's almost like, I don't know, like even like the tracks you come up with and mix and produce on the spot sound like done records. Like it's cool to get them mixed externally too, but the days of just like needing to overthink these things, I guess, or if you, I don't know, but I think you're very, very talented at it. So I think that's also what's happening.
Well, there is a sheen that kind of comes with working more electronically and working in the kind of world of like, I guess like a lot of rappers and whatnot. There's just something very like sheen to only using VSTs or only using like synths built into the program and tracking with just vocals that are totally compressed and totally slammed.
Yeah.
But it's super it's a super polished era, I think.
Yeah.
It's and ultra competitive, and everybody's fighting for their own space, but it's the most exciting time for music in my opinion too.
God, I agree. I really agree. I love that attitude of like, I've never heard you talk about it like that, which is cool, like ultra competitive and like, but
there's something like 14,000 songs uploaded to Spotify a day. Don't fact check me on that, but it's like
Right.
Sounds right.
Yeah, it's something like that.
It's true.
I mean, how do you
rise up?
How do you rise out of that with your 10-song EP or whatever
Right.
it is? It's just like, it's real. I mean, it's ultra discouraging in some ways, but in other ways, it's like, the cream or the crop, or whatever, rises to the top.
Yeah. Well, that's what they say.
That's what they say. That's what my dad told me.
Yeah.
Or God told me in a dream.
Yeah. So, and your dad is James Hall, who's a rock and roll legend amongst those who know.
My dad is James Hall. Also, he's also my father more than rock and roll legend in my eyes.
Yeah.
So that's always been a interesting dichotomy to exist. Is the guy that you see, like walking around at like, in his underwear at the house, is
Right.
like has this cult kind of esque rock indie cred, I guess. I don't know what you'd call his career.
Well, it's very it's cultish, I guess, and then it's also, but it's like the people who are in that cult consider him the greatest. Like it's one of that, and like he's heavily inspired people like Marilyn Manson, and it's a wide-reaching cult,
Which that's a really odd thing too. Is the couple of times I've hung out with Marilyn Manson has been with my dad, and the last thing you expect is for someone like that to be giddy about my dad versus like you'd really think the opposite. You'd think like my dad'd be all nervous and like going into it, but
then Marilyn Manson is giddy. Yeah. I could see it. Well, you can hear it in Marilyn Manson's music. And
Right.
yeah, for those that haven't heard James Hall, you really should do yourself a great favor and check out Pleasure Club and his solo work. And he was in a band called Marry My Hope back in Atlanta. I used to live in Atlanta. That's how I first heard of your dad back in the mid 90s or early 90s. And he was like King of the Hill. You know?
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, I have no concept of what, like how that worked.
Well, he got the deal at Geffen, which was like $1 million deal at the time, and it was like big, huge news, and and it was warranted because he's just an incredibly talented dude.
Yeah.
He
Absolutely.
played a trumpet and had a Bowie-esque kind of vibe. But so when you were growing up, would he like play you all these kind of things like Bowie back in the day, like when you were 10, or or did he educate you musically?
I think it was around, and that was the main thing. It was always playing. I mean, a lot of my exposure, the most he was listening to music was when he was like doing the dishes
Right.
in the kitchen. Like I always remember like it being kind of absurdly loud sometimes because he was
Uh-huh.
trying to compete with the sound of the faucet or whatever,
Yeah.
and sometimes even getting annoyed by it. But it's good memories, and he did listen to everything. I didn't hear. I mean, he's a huge fan of the Clash, and he's a huge fan of there's a lot of Brian Eno stuff, and then like into like Desmond Decker kind of old like ska stuff like that, and so it was really a wide exposure at an early age that I'm really thankful for, because he could be listening to Grateful Dead or something,
Oh my God! And then
Sorry if anybody.
shout out to Grateful Dead.
Shout out Grateful Dead. No, I'm kidding. Jam bands are cool, but
Yeah.
it's just, I'm not a hater.
No, it was a funny joke, but like so. But the thing is, though, like a lot of times kids will go against what their family business is, or like what the dad did, or whatever. Like, but you have gone headlong into it in a way that's even, I don't know, just it almost feels like an evolution from what your dad's music has been, and I'm saying that not in any insulting way towards your dad at all.
Right.
At all. I have the most respect for James Hall that you can have for a musician.
It is different.
But I also have it for you in equal parts.
Right.
And it's just that's interesting to me because
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes like I guess they're like with Loudon Wainwright and Rufus Wainwright, a similar thing, like where Rufus was like just kind of like kept it like there was no drop or something, you know what I mean? Or,
Right.
I don't know, but I'm just curious about that, how that you think that came to be.
I mean, I think in a lot of families and circumstances like that where
Yeah.
there's musicians in multiple generations, and maybe the parents had more success, that there's a lot of like pressure to seek their approval or something like that, or write a great song or
Yeah.
whatever. I never really felt that from him, which I think was I think it was always supportive, which has been huge. And but there was this kind of like, I always did look at him as like an upper echelon songwriter.
He is.
But when I was a freshman in college, all I was doing was just smoking weed and making rap beats,
Uh-huh.
and so there was this whole kind of separate. It was music, but this separate thing
Right.
that was going on. That was just kind of manifesting itself in its own way, and then I've kind of been trying to figure out still, words and how to connect with people and tell a story in that same way, but also have that kind of modern influence, I suppose,
Yeah.
in that world. But I don't know. I mean,
That's
been cool.
interesting because you entered it from a different door, I guess. Because now, though, I feel like on your, album I was about to call it a project, but I realized I was having a war in my brain whether I could call it an album or a project. Because for those of you that don't know, now albums are called projects.
Yeah, or mixtapes or LPs
yeah.
or EPs. I mean, we can go on,
Yeah. They slap and they're called projects. But anyway, I'm not trying to be like that old dude making jokes
I don't know,
about
this
young lingo. That's like so lame when you get into that, and I'm already into that.
This one's called "Even If We Don't Get It Together."
Yeah.
And it's set for September. And it is. I think that was a good culmination of a lot of the themes in the songs, and it's also in the last song called "Downtown Life," which Joe and I wrote.
Yeah.
That I'm really excited about. So we co-wrote 4 of these songs on this project, 4 of the 10.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Who's putting it out?
Who besides me?
Are you putting it on your own label?
Oh, Atlantic Records.
Atlantic
Yeah.
Records, yeah.
Yes. I've been really lucky with that too. They've been super cool.
So yeah, and that's Mike. What's his last name?
It's Mike Karen over at
Mike Karen.
APG in West Hollywood on the corner of Fairfax and Melrose. If you want to knock on his door and ask him how he's doing, he loves that.
And give him your demo tape.
Yeah,
I'm sure he'll listen.
Yeah,
you'll probably get a record deal.
How did you get the record deal with Atlantic?
Good question.
Hey, that's a good question. I posted. I was just on the internet, the internet's a fun place, and I was.
Wait a minute, let me write the internet.
Yeah. Okay. You got that?
Yeah,
all
I
right.
got that.
Yeah, Steve Jobs invented it.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Al Gore invented it.
no, yeah,
Al Gore.
yeah.
All
Yeah.
Al Gore's global warming predictions have come true.
Yes,
By the way,
true.
we're currently underwater. Anyway, keep going.
Yes, I was just checking the basement to see.
Yeah.
But we're fine. No, we're not. It's the end of an era forever. But
Things just keep getting. Anyway.
yeah. So the Atlantic deal happened because I was posting songs on SoundCloud, and then I posted. And they were getting a little bit of attention, not much, like just some buzziness, and then one of the songs I shot a video for with Hanzo, and this guy Clance the Mance, a good friend of ours, shot it for us in New Orleans. We put it up on a blog site known as Elevator, which is pretty big, like hip hop curator kind of blog site that.
And do they have to accept things, or
they have to accept things, and partially it was due in part by us knowing Six Dogs, who is a really popular rapper from our area and a good friend of ours, and some A&R, I guess, it was just checking Elevator's blog site, and it showed up, and it was like, well, all right, who are these kind of weird guys with this odd song called Outpatient. So he sent me an email and then asked to hear some other demos. I sent him some demos, and he was more interested. We had some phone calls, and then meanwhile I'm going to like public communication school, like just to be like a PR person or something. Like
PR for what?
That was just like my major,
What's that mean? Public relations?
Yeah, like journalism and
Okay.
What
was your idea though behind that? Like, what were you gonna do with that?
It just seemed like an easier degree to get. There was no passion in it.
But there was no like,
yeah.
oh, I could do this job.
And so it was just a lot of kind of like, all right, now I'm looking at this contract from Atlantic Records while going to school and doing homework. It was like an odd like kind of thing
dichotomy
to go through it. It's like I knew that I couldn't like put my heart into school if I, even if I wanted to, like after like
you
that's kind of right
weren't,
there.
and
yeah.
then especially now this,
yeah.
it's like fuck it.
So I left 3 years into college.
So you almost got your degree though.
You probably got 3 semesters left. Yeah, I would have been a 5th year senior, but no shame.
No shame in that game. Hey man, you can always go back.
I could.
I don't think you're gonna need to.
I don't think. I hope. I
don't think so, bro.
I hope I don't. I hope it's one of those things that, like after Emma Watson did all the Harry Potter movies, she like went to Brown College just because it's like she doesn't have to work
she
again.
Didn't need to. But how fun was the response to your first single yesterday on the old Instagram? I saw Trinidad James gave it some love, called it Heavenly.
Oh, Trinidad James is the best person in the world. You and I both know this.
Yeah, I love him.
But yeah, he's an Atlanta legend, and
Dad.
Yeah.
Shout out to Dad.
Yeah.
Trinidad.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, it was really overall an amazing response, and
I thought so.
it's a really cool first step into everything. So
Yeah.
you know, there's no, you know, I have no barometer, no expectations starting from the floor. It's really cool, like kind of,
Yeah.
you know, without.
You really don't. I think you have expectations. Well, I'll tell you this. I don't know if you do, but I know there are, just being in your atmosphere and environment, there are expectations surrounding you like if you were like a hooligan at the Alamo.
Well, okay, you know, expectations for myself include writing, you know, us writing our asses off.
Yeah,
and
I'm
like,
down with that.
You know, like those kind of things. But I guess the output and how people take it in,
Yeah.
I try not to have expectations for that.
That's healthy.
Yeah, because, you know, worst case I work harder, best case I work harder. You know, it's kind of like either
Yeah.
way. It's just like, you know,
Yeah.
if you're tomorrow you put out your album and you nail a hit,
Right.
you're gonna have to work harder. You know,
Right.
If you have nothing, like no, you know, and just like, and people, you know,
Yeah,
just kind of as a miss.
You got to work harder.
Yeah, it's just like either way.
That's true.
You know, it's a tricky position. Like those guys like Ed Sheeran, like it's got to be tough as hell. I mean, to be in that position.
You think so?
Yeah, the pressure's on. The second he has an album without a hit on it.
Yeah, but I feel like he knows how to write hits, and he's surrounded by the best to also like help in writing hits, and it's like I feel like, and if you don't make the dumb mistakes that like rock and rollers made from like sort of my generation, meaning like the self-destruct, I feel like the younger generation is less self-destructive and more focused and more savvy. And I think like what you just said at the beginning of the podcast, it's so competitive that it's like you got to be or fuck it. But then again, subconscious weird energies come up, and there are a bunch of self-destructive ones too that, you know, that we even know some, you know, like, you know, so there are some, but you don't have that. I don't think like Ed Sheeran has that, you know, but who knows? I'm projecting maybe, I don't know.
Who knows? Ed
Who
Sheeran
knows?
stole some of your swag though.
Oh, with
Let's
the
not-
looping?
Yeah, let's
Come
not
on.
denounce that.
Come on, Ed, give me a shout out. No. But yeah, well, when I see him like doing like on Instagram, like doing like massive stadiums with nothing but a loop pedal, I was like, wow, I was not that far off the money with that. Just needed a couple more hits, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
But yeah, but like we just had Tracy Bonham on the podcast, and we were talking about how back then it wasn't like, it was almost like cool to not write hits and to try to like subvert pop culture and stuff like that. Whereas I just feel like the younger generation isn't fucking around with that.
I struggle all the time with like trying to decide what, you know what, because on one hand it's like, yeah, we could sit here and write polished radio, like what sounds like a radio hit to us, at least
Yeah.
what our idea of that is. But to break through or to develop as an artist, I think you have to be as creative as possible.
Yeah.
And then those opportunities kind of come up after, you know, after that.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, like Frank Ocean did that song "Slide" with Calvin Harris or whatever, and it's super like in that pop world and super commercial or whatever. But he wouldn't have gotten where he was if he had started, you know, with just pop songs like that. And he's
Yeah.
kind of takes a creative approach to it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, to me, they all sound like pop songs. You know what I mean? Like, if it has a hook and a chorus, you know. But one thing I like about what your artistry is and your sort of imaging and visual stuff is like there's an element of humor that you're putting forward in it too. Like, there's a sense of humor behind it, but it's not like a sort of an ironic sense. It's not goofy. Like, you know what I mean?
I don't know. I mean, humor can be weird in music
Yeah.
because well, for a number of reasons.
Well, if it's ironic, then I think it's not fun.
I think what I want to come across is that I still care about the music and I'm really passionate about it. Like I
Yeah.
truly am, and I
Yeah.
truly love making it, and I truly love writing it, and I truly want to relate to people.
Right.
And so humor can sometimes be dangerous in that it confuses people. And
Right,
like,
or
is he making fun of us? You know?
Or it covers up vulnerability.
Yeah, it covers up vulnerability. So
Right,
I've
which
been trying to, you know, kind of walk, I guess, that line, but you know, it's a little tough to
It is, but where do you think that's coming from? That humor aspect of what you're doing. Do you know what I'm talking about with that?
No,
we've never talked about that.
Yeah,
actually.
I don't know. I think like
But even your name, Grandma,
Yeah.
there's something funny about that, but also something serious about it too, or somehow.
yeah.
Somehow, I don't know what.
Yeah.
As soon as I said that, I'm like, really? Is there something serious? But there is. It's not just a goof. It's like it's cool.
Right.
It's got obviously it makes people smile. Like, oh, he calls himself Grandma. Is a
Yeah.
But it is also like serious too. It's not like a goof.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I really can't say I know why I like what I like necessarily. But I know that sometimes if I'm struggling to write a song on my own, something that Matt Spottle, my our grandma's bass player and also a fellow songwriter and producer, taught me is
Flat earther. No, I'm
No,
just
yeah,
kidding.
rounder. He's a round earther.
He's a round earther.
Confirmed.
It's a joke.
Yeah.
Shout out Matt.
Yeah, shout out Matt.
He's a great dude.
He told
Very
me
talented.
if I can't write like something, then just to write just some absolute garbage, just something kind of just in the. He's got a band called Motor Driver who he's gonna kill me for telling anybody about this, but that's like horrendous, and I think they have like 80 songs on Spotify, just a ridiculous number of songs, because whenever he's in writer's block, he just makes a Motor Driver song because it's just absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to write, and then it usually inspires something actually like prolific and great.
Yeah, well, Peter Gabriel actually, just to name drop, but he actually did tell me this one time, like, a good motivation is to try to make the worst thing possible. He
Yeah.
said that to me a long time ago, and I always thought about that. Like, that's also a very fun creative exercise, and that you usually wind up making something kind of awesome.
Yeah.
Because you're just utterly free of expectation, I guess, at that point.
I think that's usually the key, is being utterly free of expectation and inspired. Like those are the two parts of the recipe.
Yeah. Well, going back to like what you were saying too about like entering the back door through hip hop, and then like sort of it not necessarily relating to your dad's music directly, but now the music that is evolving is kind of like it's kind of getting into some more rock and roll aspects too. Like I think on the new project there's like like Downtown Life is kind of rock and roll too in a way, but it still has those modern elements of like dance and
right. I'm always getting.
trap-ish.
We're always getting inspired. We were just sitting around like at a seafood restaurant in L.A. and we heard like
what's that one called?
Connie and Ted's
Connie
on Santa Monica Boulevard.
Santa Monica Boulevard. That was the inspiration of Downtown Life, right
because
there.
because Echo and the Bunnymen was playing, and we were like, or just some type of playlist of that kind of like in that kind of world of that just kind of 80s like pop rock.
Yeah.
And we were just you kind of like all that was bleeding through was some synth lines, I feel like, and like because it was kind of played pretty quietly.
Yeah.
But the groove or the groove or the beat was there or something, and we were just we kind of looked at each other and we're like, we need to do something like this, man.
Yeah, let's do something like this, man.
After like crushing a bowl of clam chowder,
Yeah, and fish
big
and
ass
chips.
order of fish and chips, and I think calamari too or something. I mean, we were bad.
We eat like kings.
We ate like kings at one time.
Yeah. So, well, let's pick a life purpose card. Don't look at your phone, Ehud.
I'm not.
Yeah, you were. It's distracting.
You can look at your phone, Ehud.
Don't look at your phone, man. It's distracting. We need you.
Oh. Man.
What did you get?
I got the music card. Your connection to music is
No one's
healing
ever
for
gotten that, by
yourself
the way,
and
so-
others. It's your connection to music is healing for yourself and others. That's very interesting because we're talking about, I feel like, music mostly in this
and
podcast.
no one's ever gotten that card before. That's
Wild.
the first time.
Wild. That's my life purpose.
You think so?
Well, I mean, it says so on the deck, right?
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not mandatory, but
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean,
I mean, it's my life purpose. Yeah.
It says that
I guess
your music's going to be healing for yourself and others, or music is.
my connection to music is healing for myself and others. So let's talk about the word. What do they mean by my connection to music? How I
Your connection to music is healing to yourself and others. Yeah. Your connection to music is super healthy. I've never thought
So
about
far.
it like that, but no, it's just great. It's like energetic, and I feel like that's like the key to why you're garnering a lot of the energy around you that you are, is that connection to your connection to music is like kind of incredible and lifelong.
One good kind of I think life experience that I had as far as kind of learning about that was for 2 years in college I was a wedding DJ.
Mm-hmm.
And I know seeing those like songs.
There's
like,
the humor right there.
No,
probably,
no. I mean, sincerely though, like
Yeah.
like playing like, not like that was my way of healing, like, but playing music to people, trying to get a dance floor moving or whatever. It was just a learning experience.
Yeah.
How to get that whole thing kind of like functioning, and
That's interesting.
And
How to make people move and celebrate.
yeah, and why like we still at every wedding play September by Earth, Wind and Fire,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of the time of the year, and why Bruno Mars has so many songs that work.
And why do you think that is about the September?
I mean, I don't know, it's just a bulletproof dance hit.
Right.
It's
What makes that?
Chords and shapes of the chords and voicings and the
beat.
vocalists and the beat.
Yeah.
The Commodores, always brick house.
Also, you growing up in New Orleans, primarily, that's where you grew up, right?
I grew up in New Orleans. I moved out of there when I was 9 after Hurricane Katrina,
Mm-hmm.
and then went to Atlanta, Georgia after that. So I would left New Orleans at a young age, but
That's true. That's pretty young.
but we would go back every Thanksgiving for about a week, and so I was used to going back to New Orleans about 2 times a year because all my friends were still there, and we kept it's a 7-hour drive, so we kept a pretty close relationship. Shout out Grady, shout out Reed, shout out Quinn. Sorry,
That's cool.
Yeah, cool.
Shout outs are cool.
Shout outs
in
are
this
cool on
podcast.
this podcast.
Yeah.
Do you have anybody you'd like to shout out?
Shout out to Carmen.
I met your
Yeah.
dad in New Orleans at this bar where it was a Matador, and I was talking to him for a while.
Was that your card, by the way, Karma?
No, my card is
Sorry.
useless.
That's okay.
It's the school card. The answer that you're
It's never
seeking
useless.
involves going to school.
All right. I got that one last
yeah,
time.
it's like
Well,
it's
you
not
know,
inspiring.
was pretty good.
School can be
Anything.
anything.
That's true.
That's
Evolve
true.
your
You're in
craft.
school right now.
I am.
This is school.
I'm schooling every day.
Yeah.
My education
School of
failed me.
life.
But yeah, I met your dad at this bar called the Matador, and then I went back to the apartment that was right next door, and then Mike Napolitano called me up and said, "Hey, James didn't know that it was you he was talking to. He wants you to come back." So then I came. So then I came back, and he was like, "Man, I didn't know it was you. I'm a fan." And I was like, "Really? I'm a fan of yours." You know, like it was.
Yeah.
It was a cute moment, a cute James Hall moment.
Isn't that the best? Is interacting with the person that you highly respect, but not knowing in that moment that's
Yeah.
who that is.
Well, oh yeah, that was funny. Yeah, I
Yeah.
knew who he was though.
Sure.
Yeah,
But
like-
I mean, in life, you've had those moments
Yeah.
where like you're just like you're treating them like more of like a human than you probably would have if
Yeah.
you had known.
Oh, and he was perfectly nice before he
Yeah.
knew who I was, but it was just cute because I came back there. But mine, I got teaching. You inspire young people to learn.
Look at him.
Can't make that shit up.
The imagery on these cards.
Oh, I
is
know.
like over
It
the
says B is for butterfly.
Well, apparently the lady who made these cards has since gone Christian and disavows these cards.
That's super cool. Maybe they like
Well, they're going to have more value because of that.
right. Yeah, because
If
they're like
you're, like,
forbidden.
more than 99 cents that they cost.
They actually cost like $20 a deck.
No.
Yeah, they do, dude.
Wow.
I spent money on this podcast, I'll have you know.
How is it? Were you in New Orleans for Katrina?
Yeah, so you get like with hurricanes like that, it was
Uh-huh.
category 5. I mean, usually we had like I think maybe a 5-day, 6-day notice kind of that it was going down. So like we left
Yeah.
I think
Oh, so
a
you
day or two prior. We
Oh.
went to North Louisiana, stayed the night there, but then they said like after the hurricane had hit, it can like actually like spin out tornadoes, which is crazy to think
Mhm.
about. Um,
Well, what does it? What does that do? How does that do that?
well, I don't know, but like the hot and cold air is what basically causes tornadoes. So
Uh-huh.
if a hurricane's coming into town, then it just kind of the tornadoes just trail off the edge or whatever. But from all just the winds that are
Yeah.
Ocean temperatured and land temperatured. I don't know anything though, and also
You know more than me, man. I'm getting educated.
well, okay, so we stayed in North Louisiana, and then we moved up to Memphis for 6 weeks, and those people that I go to Thanksgiving with every year, we're all living in like a house in Memphis for those 6 weeks together.
Wow.
Because Reed, his grandparents had just bought in a house but hadn't moved in yet, so they let us basically like move in
Mm-hmm.
and like live in this house together. My mom she's a school teacher. She taught us on the front porch, like homeschooled for like those few weeks, and then
Right.
everybody kind of went on their own ways.
So did that freak you out as a 9-year-old? Do you think that's affecting you now, or in any way, or like, how did that form you, or?
I don't know. I mean,
form?
I know like kids. I mean, I know now at least like kids do like crave routine and but at the time it was kind of like we had it really good. There's a lot of situations that were really really dark and really terrible, and I think we did have a bit of an awareness of that. Like the community in Memphis was really kind of helpful, and we were getting like donations, and for us, we're like 9 years old, we're getting like toys come through UPS like in large quantities sometimes. Like
Probably had more toys after Katrina.
yeah, I had more
than-
I had more toys after Katrina than before for sure.
Right.
Which so like the whole like
Were
material
they
thing.
shitty toys, or were they?
They were all right. There was like this Shrek easel that I wish I could find. Like that was pretty rare.
I had a song in the Shrek 2.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I knew that.
You're so true.
Wow.
Closing
Mhm.
scene of the movie.
Closing scene of the movie. What?
Well,
yeah.
no, it
Well,
was in the
the
credits.
credits.
I
In the
almost
credits?
had opening. I almost had opening
know.
animation. I came real close, but your friend Adam Duritz beat me out. But
Yeah.
anyway, talk about that later.
Got
But
nominated
anyway,
for an Oscar.
so yeah. Hey, why don't you rub salt in that wound, eh, Hoot? Damn.
What? How did I not know that?
Well,
That's a huge. That's a huge
That's-
win.
that
For
was
you.
a huge win. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good tune.
Got you a lot of fans.
It did.
Wow.
But anyway, back to Katrina and toys.
Um.
You remember going back to your house?
Yeah, I remember going back to my house about a year and a half later.
Whoa.
Was
I
it
know.
devastated?
My dad had gone back in a gotten like a U-Haul or a Penske truck or something, and tried to salvage stuff, but there wasn't much at all left. Because we had gotten, I think, like 5.5 feet of water in our and we were on like the bottom floor of a duplex.
Mm-hmm.
So that was just our whole house. It was just at 5.5 feet.
Yeah.
And yeah, so not much was salvageable. But
What was it like when you were leaving? Like, was it like, hey, you can pack a couple bags, or like just take your most prized?
Yeah.
Did you leave behind
Yeah, it
like
was-
shit that you loved, or what?
so if you live in New Orleans, most people are familiar with. I mean, everybody's familiar with hurricane season, I guess. But the kind of the months of like when school starts, like September, August, September, October, is when like hurricane season, I guess, kind of is.
Mm-hmm.
And we were used to evacuating. I think we had evacuated the year prior for Ivan, but it had missed us and went to like Birmingham. And
Oh,
then,
so evacuation was a regular thing.
yeah, it was Boy Who Cried Wolf kind of thing, where it's just like, all right, you
I can
scan,
relate.
yeah, you scan your room. You're like, all right, I don't, I can, a week's worth of clothes. I think is what I got, and I was like looking at all my toys, and I was like, I'll just see them when I get back. It was like that kind of thing, and it was just like,
So you were like lackadaisical about it that time.
yeah, and it was just whatever. But even then, it's just toys.
It's just stuff.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think like as far
That's
as
maybe
like
a good lesson to learn when you're young.
yeah,
Like,
resilient.
just
It's kind of a
stuff.
resilient thing. I
Yeah.
think for sure is just I do have a good detachment with stuff. I am able to throw away things really easily.
That's cool.
But I think at a loss in some ways too, because I ended up buying it again like the next month.
Yeah.
So now I have 2 of them in different places. But
Why can you relate from Israel?
Yeah, just when bad stuff happens routinely, you just get used to it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay. Then it sort of stops affecting you.
Right.
That's not a
Wow.
big, it's just not a big, it's people, I don't want to get deep into it, but like something terrible happens, an hour later, you're back to business, and it's like it never happened.
wow.
This
Yeah.
brings me to something I wanted to get into with you, Liam, which was this new Instagram feed I had just discovered called Daily Stoic.
What does stoic mean?
It means like people that
Austere.
just what you just said, like it reminded me of it because it's just about stoicism, like being super disciplined, super, I guess, austere, whatever austere means. I kind of know what it means, but I kind of don't too. Just like badass, like what you said, hardship comes and it's just, you don't let it affect you. But I just read this and I was like, I should read this to Liam. And it actually goes with the Tracy Bonham thing we just talked about too, but it's Marcus Aurelius, and he says, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." Marcus Aurelius.
Is that a Roman dude?
Yeah, some freaky old dude. Actually, he was like the emperor
Yeah, it
of
sounds
Rome.
like Caesar time.
And I think of Rome. I could be a moron, but he was like the most powerful man on earth, and he's famous for living a good life anyway, not taking advantage of it at all, and just totally like living like a completely moral life where he was like super amazing dude. Anyway, but how do you relate that to? Do you relate to that quote, or what do you think of that quote?
Will you say it one more time?
Yeah, it never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. Marcus Aurelius.
Dead air.
He's
We
not-
That's
I don't know.
okay.
He's
Dead air's
he's
fine.
stating
yeah,
a fact. I don't think.
yeah,
it's
I think
opinion.
I think
I'm just saying, do you relate to it?
I do relate to it. I do care about other people's opinions of me more than my own, more than
You
I'd like
do?
to, more than I'd like to admit, at least.
Right,
For
okay.
sure. Like
Well, you don't have to admit it
something,
here.
well, it's something working on, I guess. But
Yeah,
we all got our stuff. But
yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It's like it's something that's just like that's pretty
Yeah, it's vague in general or whatever, but it's like I'm thinking about like also just like how that relates to the music business and being an artist too. Like, when you're making stuff, how much do you think about the way it's going to affect other people versus how much how much do you listen to your own opinion versus what you think other people's opinion of it will be?
in the music world, like
just when you're making a track or
like
something.
I'm like I'll know a track's
'Cause,
amazing,
like,
and
both
then
things.
I'll know a track's amazing. I'll be listening to it and so excited about it, and then the second I play it for somebody, like I know it's terrible, right?
Right.
I just know it's not ready,
Or you can feel the energy in the room.
yeah, and they're like giggle at stuff or whatever, and it's just like and I'm just like, oh, it's just,
Yeah.
and so yeah, that kind of does it doesn't like murder self-esteem, but it does create an awareness that I don't always have. Different in a live setting, though. I think that's more fun because the kind of mission or the job is to win people over, from song one till the end.
Yeah.
For example, when we played in Denver.
Yeah, we played at Airport Hangar in Denver, a very Spinal Tap moment because there was literally an airport hangar in Spinal Tap. And we did it for this new weed beer called
Syria
beer.
Ceria.
Man, y'all need to sponsor us here on this podcast. We would be drinking weed beer. I would start weed again if Syria sponsored us. Just saying. I canceled weed, but I would be back on it. You can't text during the podcast.
My mom called me twice. I just want to make sure,
okay.
like the second time's
You
always.
do
All right.
that, and I'll ask you the same question you asked him about other people's opinion.
Okay.
But how does that
Check in with your mom.
Okay.
Do you have that when you do art, when you draw, when you paint? Like, do you have the same feeling that you have about music as you do about art, where you care about when you play it for someone versus when you show it to someone?
Or if You know what? This sounds maybe bad, but sometimes if I post a painting and it doesn't sell, I'll feel free to go back into it
and change
and
it.
fuck with it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because like, but that's not necessarily like I'm like worried about opinions. It's more just like, yeah, it's like measuring. Like it's just it's like I think it's almost like collaborating with the external environment, and it's fine. I don't think there's not anything wrong with it necessarily. Like what Liam's talking about, like playing a track to somebody, and if you feel the energy get sucked out of the room or it's not hitting, you can tell when you're playing a track to somebody and it's like just hitting. You know, like it's obvious.
Right.
I prefer to play to stoned friends, but
right.
you know, I think that's also like a
yeah.
It's you know.
Yeah.
Hey,
So like, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I just meant to ask. Oh, because Ferris was asking me. Do you like to get that kind of sprayed drop effect? Is that a hair dryer you're taking to that?
You want me to tell you my trade
Trade
secrets?
secrets.
Yeah.
I don't talk about
You don't read.
those.
I've known him
I read
for
your trades.
almost. What year is it? 12, 13, whatever years, and I've never asked him about that.
Hey, I got a
But
question
I know
for
what
you.
he does.
You know what he does?
I got a question for you though.
Am I close?
No. I got a
Is it a fan?
I got a question for you. When you lived in Atlanta, were you stoked about moving from New Orleans to Atlanta, or were you missing? I know you were super young when you left New Orleans, and
I was
also,
not stoked. I was not stoked.
You preferred New Orleans?
Oh yeah. Well, because
Yeah?
I mean, I was living in Marietta, Georgia, which is
Right.
it's North Atlanta,
Isn't
and
it
it's
super fun? Maybe.
it's pretty suburb.
I don't think
Suburban.
any kid likes leaving their home until like
No
you
one
know,
does.
No one's happy about that.
No one's happy about that, and especially New Orleans. It's a really like you. I had no perspective of what it's like to not live there, and it's
Mhm.
this insane cultural epicenter and like really super diverse area with amazing music, amazing food.
It's
and
like one of the best cities.
It's one of the best
ever
cities in the world.
the whole world ever.
And you're in the South. You're in Louisiana, but you feel like you're in a different country
Yeah.
for
You have
sure.
no accent.
Well, like
No
French.
Southern accent. Are you like
No.
masking it?
Every day I mask it.
Do you?
It's really
No.
hard to hold back this drawl.
I don't think so.
No,
Do you have any kind of Southern accent?
I really don't. The thing with it is my dad's from he's from Houston initially, then he moved to Nashville. My
Yeah.
mother's from Massachusetts, and then moved to Virginia, then moved to Georgia.
Yeah.
So both of them are transplants from the area. So I never really picked that up.
Yeah.
That explains it.
Yeah, no.
Well, I wonder how much the Southern, I remember playing some of your music for somebody, and they were like, man, he's got that authentic vocal vibe that only people from the South get. Somebody said that to me.
On what track, do you know?
It was like some of our early shit. I was like, like some of the first few songs we worked on, like,
Come back to your
dreaming.
What does that
We'll
mean?
get
Do I sound like
together.
Jackal?
Over the weekend, maybe you'll end up alone.
Oh well, go back to the hotel. Let you know well.
Going back to my place and
Yeah.
dreaming
Yeah.
that we'll get together
over the weekend.
Maybe you'll end up alone.
Oh well, go back to the hotel. Let you know well.
That's a good one.
Nice.
We've been kicking it around since like '97.
Yeah.
Trina came
Whoops.
around, we was high stepping. That's like, yeah, anyway. That was how Katrina came around, we was high stepping since like '97.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, so I'm wondering, do you think that living in that, I mean, you wouldn't know anything else, but do you think that living in that Southern vibe all your life, how has that affected your music, do you think? Or if you had to guess.
I mean, I never had
And
like.
then we can talk about
yeah.
your shoes.
Okay, no, I never had that.
And
I
his
guess.
outfit.
I
Yeah,
know, the
yeah.
outfit's banging.
Thank you guys. I
That's
never
my
had the.
outfit.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this, it is.
It is,
no,
yeah, yeah, it is really banging.
No, but I wasn't at the. I wasn't at
It's
the
cool, yeah.
same. I didn't go to the same places that I guess I wasn't. As far as Southern experiences go, I don't think I had a very Southern experience living in the South. there wasn't snakes at my churches. There wasn't people drinking holy water. There wasn't. There were some crocodiles in New Orleans that and some cool stuff, but it wasn't very southern at all. No, it was very regular.
Regular?
Yeah, regular.
When did you first pick up or did you ever go to your dad's band practices and jam with them or sing? When did you first sing?
I first sang in 3rd grade. This film called High School Musical came out on Disney Channel. Zac Efron. Yeah, is he a fan of the pod?
Oh yeah, Zach's big into this pod.
Yeah.
He keeps bugging Aid to get on.
I was just watching Aubrey.
We're getting you on, bro.
I was watching Aubrey Plaza's interview. Actually, side note here, she was talking about.
Who? Oh, I just watched her on Hot Wings.
Yeah, exactly. That same interview. Yeah.
You watched that one?
Yeah,
we
were all
watching yesterday.
Yeah, I watched it yesterday. It came out yesterday.
That's so fucking funny.
Came out yesterday. Yeah.
That's cool. I could just hold it, dude.
She so she was talking about how Zac Efron would be pumping iron in between takes, right.
I
was like, that's so genius because he looks.
She was on High School Musical?
No, this is a different film that he was in. She's amazing.
Don't worry.
Aubrey Plaza, if you're a fan of the pod.
She is amazing. I never saw her before except for on that Hot Wings. I mean Hot Ones.
Dude, she was in the Parks and Rec.
I know she's
forever.
cute, but I never watched that.
She's funny as fuck.
Oh, she's really cute and really funny.
Her early late night interviews.
By the way,
she'd be so mean to me.
She would be so mean to me.
Aubrey,
she would destroy me.
Contact us. We'd love to have you on.
Be ruthless.
Yeah.
How mean she would be.
Do you know anyone that knows her that we can ask her to come on the pod?
I know of people that know her. I know of Amy Poehler.
I know human beings.
Connect
and
us?
she's a human, so she's connected to other humans.
We're always 1 to 3, 8. We're 2.
And not to change the subject, we'd love to have Marilyn Manson on the pod.
Hey, by the way, too, this is not a rinky-dink podcast, everybody. Listen, this is
we are professionals.
This is a very professional,
high production.
This is a high production podcast.
High value.
I'm holding my mic.
The tripod and camcorder thing's got a good vibe to it. It kind of reminds me of I feel like a little. It has a little bit of I feel like I should be blindfolded and you should be demanding a certain amount of money, in this basement here, with
That's pretty good, dude.
Yeah.
That's fucking funny. It does have that vibe.
Well, if you take away the background and you take away,
And you're in a jumper.
Yeah, and I'm in a jumper.
Yeah. What does that have to do with it?
All the ransom videos, everyone's in jumpers and stuff, the whoever they capture.
Yeah.
So that brings us to going to where'd you go to college?
I went to college at Kennesaw State University.
Where is that?
Kennesaw.
What is
Kennesaw,
that?
Georgia.
In Georgia.
Yeah, it's in Georgia.
Okay.
Go Owls.
So basically the South. Then
I actually denounced ever going there. It wasn't very cool. It was okay. It wasn't very cool though.
But then I got to do the whole podcast like this.
Hey, it's good for you. Level up. There we go.
Thanks, dude. That's cool. So, but then you've been a lot of time in LA.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I got to know you most. Well, I mean, actually, we met in Brooklyn.
We did.
As adults. I met you as a kid once.
Yeah. You met me when I was 7, and when I came to Brooklyn, we wrote a track together. That was pretty cool. Donnie still wants us to finish that. Now, when we started hanging out in LA.
It's all good, bro. I got it.
When we started hanging out in LA, that's when things really changed for us.
It did, yeah.
I think that's when we really bonded.
Are we gonna whisper now?
No. Why would I do that?
Yeah. So, what do you think of LA?
LA is shot.
We talk about LA a lot on this
LA is
podcast.
kind of trash. I mean, it's okay. It is okay. It's just
LA gets crapped on in this podcast. I want to say I'm sorry, LA. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you.
Restaurants are really nice. Donnie's really nice.
Donnie Graves.
If you know Donnie Graves, LA's amazing.
Shout out to Donnie Graves.
If you know Donna and Anya,
if you know
and
Donna
Bentley.
and Donnie and Bentley, then LA rocks.
it really does.
I got a great email from Donnie Graves today about your project.
Oh, that's nice of
It
him.
was very nice, yeah.
Well, awesome. Yeah, no, he makes it easy, but I don't see how people just do it regular. And I know that a lot of people get swallowed up into a lot of that culture. I just don't really like how the city's laid out and how, like, 35 minutes.
It takes long to get places.
35 minutes is a good deal, like, to go somewhere.
Yeah, like that's an okay amount of time.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I agree. Yeah, that part. So, where do you think Grandma is going to live? Where do you think Grandma's going to base?
I never know.
Yeah, 'cause it's all up in the air for you, really.
Well,
right
yeah,
now.
that, and I read a book called A Field Guide to Getting Lost by Rebecca Solnit, which is a really great book.
Where did you get that, or who told you about that?
My dad passed it down to me.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, he
That sounds like I love that title.
A Field Guide to Getting Lost. It's about, being I think it's something that you're good at too. I mean, just like have contentment with where you are
Yeah.
at any given moment, not only location, but also like mentally, like you can be lost in life and be totally fine, because that's kind of how you get to your truest sense of self and who you truly are.
Yeah.
And she kind of writes it in like a essay format, but it's super well written, and
It's a series of essays.
it's a series it's a series of essays that kind of like all pertain to the same thing. Some of them are from personal experience. Some are like about like a story about a Boy Scout who got lost, like real stories about like that, like stuff like that, and how like he survived 9 days in the wilderness, and like
How did he?
you'll have to read to find out. I don't want to spoil that.
Did he eat bugs?
I mean, you have to read, but another example was like there was a woman who like in the 1700s, I want to say, got like she was from Europe and got kidnapped by Native Americans during some like raid,
Mm-hmm.
and ended up like started out as a slave for them, but ended up kind of just becoming part of their community,
Mm-hmm.
and then and so she's this European woman
She ingratiated herself.
ingratiating herself into the Native American culture, but then kind of slowly just distance herself from that as well. And so she was living between two cultures, because what she knew for the majority of her life was this Native American culture, but who she was,
And then she was allowed to leave and come back.
well, they like, it was like a kind of reverse Pocahontas situation where like they like the European people got her back, and then she was just like didn't know how to speak English anymore,
Right.
and
Was bored by their lifestyle.
was bored
maybe.
by their lifestyle in a lot of ways. So she
Yeah.
kind of just ended up living on her own, and like and how she dealt with that is super odd and cool. It's just like just being at a crossroads between only two cultures that are existing at this time, and not belonging in either of them
Right.
anymore.
Do you relate to that?
No, I think that was a kind of like binary story in that way, but I think there's lessons to be learned from that for sure.
Right. Like what?
How to become comfortable with yourself, and a lot of people like struggle existing in any space, especially ones that are unfamiliar to them, or like
Yeah.
social events or parties or whatever it is, and just knowing what to do with themselves and with their bodies, or how to feel comfortable and not just like okay, I'm in control of this vessel with like this,
Mhm.
and I'm occupying this much space, and I want to just move to the corner of the room or whatever. I mean, it's on a much more like minute scale.
Yeah. I find it really hard to be at parties if I've smoked something called marijuana.
Yeah. Hey, how about that?
Young
How about
Jake?
that? No. How about
Oh.
that chain smoking party that we went to? where they were playing songs on acoustic guitar,
Oh my god.
like
Yeah. Yeah,
all
yeah.
night long, and then it just got really, really tense a couple times because there was just some really intimate songs that was clearly from one person to another, but everybody else had to watch.
And then you showed me the memes of like the guy who breaks out the acoustic guitar at the party, and it's like a punch in the face or something like that.
Yeah, perfectly good party. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Well, I'll tell you what I do to like be good at. What's that book called?
A Field Guide to Getting Lost.
Field Guide to Getting Lost.
Rebecca Solnit.
I feel like that is a skill I have developed where I'm good in multiple environments, and I just frame it around the disciplines of running and yoga and just that kind of physical fitness and getting my state of mind together.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And, and that really helps because then no matter, and especially too, like, say in LA, a lot of times where I'll just like, the minute I land somewhere, I'll just be like, yoga studio near me, and I'll just go, and I'll start going every day, and suddenly I have a little after about a week, you're a member of a little community.
Yeah.
And it becomes a regular thing, and then from there, like, it's, as long as you give yourself, if you frame your day around like the first couple hours are going to be done with like some exercise, a lot of oxygen, and some mantra work, there's only a few more hours left to go, to get productive and stuff like that. And then and also you've got your mind state up into something good.
Yeah.
And then that way too, you're not like lonely guy wandering around the town looking for somebody to hug, it's like because
you can still be that.
Yeah, and I'm still the lonely guy wandering around town looking for somebody to hug, but like, it's like
the endorphins are nice, and
the endorphins are nice, and if you don't find somebody to hug, you're all right. You don't get you don't fall into depression and get blackout drunk somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, and wake up in a ditch.
Don't.
Yeah, but I mean, I have done that. Like, I know what that's like, so that's why. But yeah, that's a little. I don't know.
No, I know exactly how to help myself sometimes when I'm in those situations. But the difference is actually acting on it, and sometimes I don't always do that. It's like I know exactly what's going to cure my depression, or like I know exactly what's going to like combat this feeling of impending doom I'm having, but whether or not I act on it is like because other worse things also temporarily cure your depression more easily,
Yeah.
If you to.
Yeah. Well, so you don't think? Because I saw you. I don't know. I guess maybe because we spent so much time in LA, I just figured you would probably end up living in LA, and because Donnie is your manager and lives in LA, and
it's
your
the sun there, man,
and your label and like that, in the what's that studio called? APG, is that
APG? Yeah,
APG studio, and a lot of like collaborative, opportunities exist for you there. I would seem to be like a good fit.
I don't know if I can just kind of come in and out via Donnie.
Yeah, that's cool.
For now, at least.
Yeah.
That's ideal for me because I just don't have business spending LA rent yet.
Right. Well, that could change real quick.
It sure could, and if it does, then it does. But for the time being, I really like what's going on, and with being able to float.
Yeah, floating's nice. What about New York City? You're just kind of discovering it, right?
Yeah, I've just
What's your impression of our home?
I like it a lot. It's been really cool so far. I've none of the stigmas that people have told me about New York City. Like,
what did they say?
Well, I guess the difference is it's nice out right now. I mean, the weather's bad, but the temperature is nice. So people always seem to be like cold and brute and like not not want to look at you or talk to you.
Yeah.
But I find that to be not. People seem to be pretty polite.
People are friendly here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it because the spring and summer, or is it because?
No, I just think in general people tend to be friendly here. They tend to be kind of no nonsense a little bit. Maybe like, what do you think the difference between people here versus LA?
Okay, so like, I think the people here are. I mean, this is a generalization, but
we're talking about generalization.
Yeah, but people here, I think, tend to be more to the point and perhaps aggressive, but not in any personal way.
Right.
ever. Like it's
Yeah.
never in like a. It's just like a do this because it's
Yeah.
because you're in my way, or do this because it'll make it easy for me. Nothing against you, just
Mm-hmm.
And in LA, there's this big detachment because everybody's in their cars and
Yeah.
and nobody walks in LA
Except me.
except you.
I run through Runyon Canyon.
It's not
Down
called
to-
Walking Canyon, tell you that much.
Yeah. So, who are some of your dream artists to collaborate with? Like, if, top 3 artists to collaborate with that you haven't collaborated with yet.
Oh, that I haven't, because
Yeah,
I already have.
that you haven't.
But that I haven't. Wow, that's a tough question. Dead or alive? I'm gonna go with alive because dead's hard to collaborate
Well,
with.
let's go with Alive first.
Because dead's hard to collaborate with.
Yeah, that is. But I mean,
She's like, Bowie, what do you think of this idea? And silent.
well, actually, I disagree. I think you can collaborate with the Dead already. I feel like I do collaborate with the Dead.
By using them as a frame of inspiration, or
That and just maybe like picking into similar energies that they picked up into. You know what I mean?
for sure.
And then like I feel like they can speak through you if you're like sort of open to that.
Yeah. Well, let me think then. I mean,
But go with Alive,
alive. Okay.
because then we can manifest it.
Heat Wave, the 1970s disco band. I'm not sure how many of the members are alive, so I don't want to actually maybe use them as a point of reference. But they're super cool. Groove Line, all those
Never
tracks.
heard of them.
It was 3 white guys and 3 black guys, and they all wore sweaters, and they were super cool, and like they were making like the coolest, coolest music. Yeah, maybe like something funny like Michael McDonald would be cool too. Like
Can you sing like Michael McDonald?
I literally can't. Yeah, you can do it really well.
I don't know.
Heard it through the grapevine. I don't know.
Oh wait. I keep forgetting we're not in loving anymore. I keep forgetting things will never be the same again. I keep forgetting that we're loving anymore. I keep forgetting. Tell me how you feel.
Yeah, I think that would be fun. Maybe Michael Douglas, the actor.
That's a weird one. Did you see his Netflix show, the recent one?
No, what's it?
I watched it. It's kind of depressing. I was depressed when I watched it too. It was a depressing show, and I was depressed.
That's sometimes
It was
when
a
you're
weird combo.
yeah.
I mean, it's a great show.
I can't go to bed on that. That's the thing with dark or depressing shows like Black
Yeah.
Mirror and stuff like that. Like I can't go to bed watching that. I have to watch like some mindless Futurama, just something that's a little bit more lighthearted and funny before I go to bed.
I do
if I
like
do that.
self-helpy YouTube things or Joe Rogan's podcast or like Russell Brand.
I heard
or-
Joseph Arthur listens to the Joseph Arthur podcast.
I never do.
I heard he listens
I've
to it
been
every
trying to
way.
get him to
He wants me to.
That's psychotic.
Ehud wants me to.
Why would you make him do that?
just, just to check it out once. Get a.
Yeah.
I haven't
Get
yet,
an
but I've
impression.
heard it's pretty. I heard I'm getting better at it, which I don't know how to take that because that means my first one sucked.
No, it doesn't. It
That's
just
what-
means that you're getting better at talking each time. It's just
Yeah.
I mean, I think we always are.
Stop looking at your
But
phone.
no, I was gonna
Hey,
pull
keep doing
up
it.
something to say at the end.
Oh,
but
okay, well,
you said you already collaborated with some of your favorites. Was that a joke, or have you really?
No, I have. I
Who?
mean, okay, Joseph Arthur.
All right. Just so you know, a lot
Trinidad
of people
James.
really want to write with Joe.
That's what I'm
so
saying.
You're really lucky to be doing that.
What?
Oh, I know.
He's on everybody's wish list, man.
Right.
Put it up one
I
time.
paid him to say that. That's like. Now I regret it because it's embarrassing. It didn't. When I gave him the $100 to say that, I thought it would come off more natural than that. But
But where
Yeah.
when
Sorry,
you
guys.
when you lived in Georgia, the proximity to Atlanta, I guess. When did you first hear Joe? of Joe or a Joe song or
What the
something when
fuck?
you're like,
This podcast is going off the rails.
Hold on.
now.
Top 3 artists. No, when I was 7 years old, I saw him at Voodoo Fest in New Orleans.
Oh my God, yeah.
Apparently, that was at a time when you were doing acid every day. Wait,
No, I was doing mushrooms
you're
every
doing
day.
mushrooms every day.
Yeah.
a good impression for a 7-year-old.
Yeah,
But I mean,
well,
I didn't
know
tell
better.
I didn't
Yeah,
pull him aside and said, "Hey, young
Dude,
Liam,
I'm too high to
bro,
die.
I'm killing
Try
it
this
right
one.
now."
Yeah, I am a little too high to die. I am,
Yeah.
in some ways, God.
Right, but
And
at,
so are you.
at 7 years old, you know.
Why do you
his
keep hugging
music-
that pillow? I feel like I'm threatening you or something.
No, it's nice. I don't
It's
know.
just comforting.
Yeah, it's comforting.
All right, fine.
You could do the interview with the mask on too. By
In
the
a
way.
sense,
I
yeah.
think we should wear the mask. But top 3 artists, living or
Living or died.
are we just off the top 3?
No, we were
Wait.
top 3 that you actually collaborated with.
yeah.
Okay, Rico Nasty.
Rico Nasty.
Who, shout out Rico Nasty, too.
Shout out Rico Nasty.
She just made the XXL freshman class list, which is huge.
That's huge.
And it's super well deserved and super well. She manifested it herself. She said so in a song that she would, and now she
really?
did, and she earned it. She works harder than anyone, and she's the most fashionable person out here.
And you got
Too.
and she's got a collab with you on your new album, on your new project.
Yes, she does. Which will remain nameless for the time being, but when it comes out,
Oh, sorry, was I not supposed to say?
no.
Did I break rules?
You didn't break a rule. I don't. It's. I think it's cool news, and there's no. This is the first project. No one really cares yet.
They're gonna care. I care. A lot of people do.
A lot of people
Actually,
do.
I don't think that's true. I think there's a buzz around you, and vibe, and people care. Like, just I don't know.
What's next? But yeah.
You're already on the coolest podcast in the land. Think of it.
Yeah. You ever think about how many podcasts are probably being recorded right now?
As many songs are going on Spotify, probably,
Yeah.
or near that. But how many have masks? And I
Yeah.
feel like we should wear a mask
Yeah.
and read a manifesto card. Do you want to?
Okay.
You want to wear that one? It just looks good for like the clips, like when we like
Goes with your outfit.
that is really cool. See,
Cool. All right. Check.
all right, check 1, 2.
You're good.
Doing a muffled job.
Huh?
Just muffling a little bit, but I think
Yeah,
we'll
you
be
might
all right.
have to turn up the mic.
It's
Ahu.
good. Don't worry about it.
No, we're good. Yeah.
Check
be all right.
1, 2. For those just listening, we have masks on now, and I can't get that close to the mic. But you should watch us on YouTube because this part's entertaining in a visual way. My mask is of a bull,
With the mouth moving.
and the mouth moves. Here you go.
And my mask is of a dog. Here we go.
Is it a dog?
No, I
got
think it's a
antlers,
fox
dude.
reindeer.
Here you go.
A cocker spaniel.
What did yours
You
say?
can go closer to the mic, Joe.
The main motivation of humankind is to be free, to express our true selves and pursue our dreams without restriction, to experience what may be called personal freedom. Okay. Do I speak on it now?
Yes. speak
Okay.
on it.
Okay. So the main motivation of humankind is to be free, express our true selves, and pursue our dreams without restriction. Yeah. In a sense, some people, it's it's really difficult to do that, but I'm constantly battling and redefining what makes me happy and redefining happiness every day with every task and every objective. For example, today or the day we lost, I lost my wallet. It's like, first of all, I was at first I was like, well, this really bums me out. And it's like, well, it would make me happy to find my wallet. Then you say pray to St. Anthony.
Pray to St. Anthony. It works every time.
So I pray to St. Anthony, and then I also pray to Starbucks on Broadway by calling them, and they answered, and they said my wallet was there, and that made me happy, I guess. I don't know, just redefining what makes you happy is I think also a real quick way to personal freedom.
That's cool.
How are you doing in there? Is it hot?
It sucks. Your mask is a better choice.
Yeah, you should get on my level, maybe.
Here we go. Any dirt or carnage of yesterday belongs nowhere near now, but rather in the dustbin of history where we need not rummage about. That's awesome. I definitely feel like that brings me to, ho'oponopono and letting go and just forgiveness and like living in the moment and living from inspiration rather than from memory.
Now, Joe, what is Ho'oponopono?
It's the ancient
Glad you
Hawaiian
asked.
prayer that goes, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. And what that does is it clears all that dirt from the past and allows you to live from inspiration rather than from memory.
It's like clearing the caches on your web browser.
It's like being
It's like
a
deleting
bull
history
and
after
you. Killing the
That's a
matador
good
rather than the
metaphor for
matador
it.
killing you. What?
I like his metaphor.
What was his
for it.
metaphor?
It's like clearing the caches on your web browser. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
or deleting history after you
That is a
searched
That is a good metaphor.
how to build a
Yeah.
treehouse or something embarrassing.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We've probably searched something more embarrassing than how to build a tree house, but we don't have to admit it here.
How to
now.
build 2 tree houses.
How to build 2 tree houses. What's yours say, Hooter?
I don't know. Success and fulfillment in life rest on the unflagging ability to get up, be ourselves, to chase our dreams with fire each day, to keep willing ourselves to the next level of presence and performance and potential.
That's good.
It's too long.
The Joseph Arthur Come Where I'm From podcast is filmed in front of a live studio audience under the Coney Island Baby bar and venue.
Sponsored by the Motivation Manifesto cards by Brendan Bouchard.
Brendan Bouchard, if you're listening, don't come on the podcast.
If money were no object, what would your dream house look like?
Okay. 1 bedroom,
Nuh-uh.
1 bath, really high ceilings.
Uh-huh.
Like
Only
one of those.
1 bedroom?
No, 2 bedrooms. Okay, 2 bedrooms, 2 baths. How about really high ceilings? Like what I'm talking about is like you take like a
25-foot high?
yeah, it's like a dope spiral staircase that goes
Yeah.
up to like maybe like a loft too, and it's like one of those buildings in like Upper West Side Manhattan, and it's but you just clear out all the floors
Uh-huh.
and it just goes like all the way up to the top. It'd be kind of cool.
That would be cool.
I don't know. I haven't thought about that at all.
Would you have a recording studio in it?
Yeah. So let me rethink it's a little bit.
3 rooms, 3 bedrooms.
Yeah.
A banging recording
Upgrade.
studio.
Yeah, maybe
Kind of like APG Studio A in there.
I can never tell if like I want like an outhouse looking kind of like, or like like a separate building for the studio. A lot of people like that kind of thing.
Yeah. As long as it's soundproofed, it kind of doesn't matter, I don't think.
No, it doesn't. But also the feeling of going to work is nice.
That's true.
And grabbing your stuff and going there with a clear head.
That's true.
Do you find it tough at all having like a studio
Project studio. Yeah.
inside your studio?
Yeah, it's not ideal inside my little apartment. Yeah. It's not ideal, but it works for now.
You're never not at work. It's the same with editing because I edit.
Yeah.
And the
in your bedroom?
number one complaint in the living room or wherever is like you're never at home. You're always at work, and you always have the option to sit and work, and you usually choose to do that. And I feel it's the same with making music and recording. If it's there, you'll do it.
Yeah.
And if it was somewhere else, you'd be home relaxing.
Yeah.
That's true.
Painting
Super
is
true.
another one. Like my dream house, it would have a huge place to paint.
Mm-hmm.
That would be ideal, and also like a little project studio for music. But
I want like a
I want a playground to paint in. I love painting. So.
yeah, like a cool like Zen garden, like a river running through that, like little bridges and stuff.
A stone
Crazy.
garden. Do you like
Yeah.
that kind of stuff? Stone garden.
So we went from 1 bedroom, 1 bath to a stone garden.
Okay, well, I want it to feel like home still too. Like I don't want this like sterile.
Yeah, but his went to a whole building, just a super high, like, like,
I want the World Trade Center, but all the floors.
nah,
Emptied
that's
out.
too big. It would be hard to heat that.
You know
in
how
the
long
winter.
it would take you to go up and down those stairs?
You told
every
me
day?
money wasn't a.
Oh, money isn't an object. You're right, but then you
Yeah.
got to pay for the heating bill after. The money's no object when we buy the house.
Oh well, then that changes everything.
That does change everything. We could say money's no object, but I
Okay.
actually do. I think I would love to live in like a massive loft space in Soho.
Yeah.
In New York City,
Yeah.
like and have
Floors,
like
bro.
like have a couple of different floors, have like have like some kind of massive painting studio nearby and a kick-ass like project studio like on the premises. That's ideal. That's my dream. I've said it. And plus like some kind of cool ass car and like
a dream without
garage.
without a game plan, without an action, is just a fantasy. What are you gonna do to make that happen?
I'm gonna keep writing some classic cuts. I'm gonna keep painting those dope ass pictures. I'm gonna keep like working on my state of mind and keep my mind positive and not let depression get me down, and keep like toxic beings away from me as much as possible, and just keep envisioning it, because I do believe in like that kind of like power of the mind to manifest
Yeah.
these things, and meditation and stuff like that. Do you meditate? Do you believe in that kind of thing, like power of your mind to manifest?
Yeah, I usually only, to my own defeat, meditate when I'm like, when I need to,
Mm-hmm.
like in moments of high anxiety or something like that,
Yeah.
like or like just stuff's like hitting me or something. But routinely, I'd like to get better. I do journal.
Mm-hmm.
Do try and write a couple pages per day.
Like of like a to-do list and that kind of thing, or
Anything that's going on, usually just working through things that I don't know the answers to in my head,
Mhm.
on paper, and just throwing it out there because I feel like the answers come to you once it's written.
how much do you think that's going on in your life right now as a result of you sort of manifesting or like consciously manifesting versus just whatever being and it's just happening this way?
I think most of it, I mean, deciding to work hard is deciding to work hard, and I don't work as hard as I could, but I think I do work hard, but other than that, just walking through it, just every day is a new adventure, kind of,
That's awesome.
um,
Your friend Matt, how do I say his last name?
Spottle.
Spottle. Matt Spottle.
He's an Italian.
Now he sent me what was hysterical because he sent me this cover. I think I posted it up on my Instagram stories or Instagram or something. It was like artist with money, and it was a picture of me on the cover of this Money magazine, like saying for
The
like
richest
the richest songwriter in the world. And see, I see something like that, and I made it my like screensaver on my phone until like you're like around people and you open up your phone and embarrassingly there's a picture of you like with that like, and you're not going to explain why it's there, like because I believe if my subconscious sees that image that I'll actually manifest being maybe not like the songwriter that makes the most money of all time or whatever goofy thing it said, but like still like I think that those kind of things are powerful. Do you think so?
Yeah, I do. I agree. Seeing like you asked me one time because I had like the Rolling Stone logo.
Yeah.
On on a photo, like to make you a version of that was
Yeah.
like the front page of Rolling Stone
100%.
magazine. Yeah.
Like no,
It's just
and
goofy, but it's like
it's goofy and it's like you could be embarrassed about it, but I actually believe like if your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between fact or fiction, and if you want to manifest something like being on the cover of Rolling Stone, which I'm not ashamed to admit it, I'd love to fucking manifest that as a reality. That would be rocking,
Right.
Then your subconscious mind seeing that's powerful because to your subconscious mind, that's real.
yeah.
And it doesn't know the difference between reality. So if you do you ever have you ever heard of the concept of making like a dream board or anything like that?
Yeah, I've seen some funny ones too.
Yeah.
A friend of mine like just printed out like 6 different BMW i8s, like the same model
And
car.
super
Just
hot
like,
chicks.
Yeah, and just like, yeah, exactly. Just like, just this
That's
The-
awesome though.
goals.
Goals, man.
Goals.
They make the world go round because it's our job here is like to create ourselves, you know, and to create and to manifest our dreams.
Yeah. Just
You
keep
know.
walking through it.
Keep walking through it. So I guess we're gonna wrap this one up, right?
No doors.
Is that the vibe? No doors.
No doors.
What do you think, Liam? Are we good, or do you want to anything else to say?
Quick plug.
Yeah, plug everything. Plug all
right.
your Instagrams, your new
Yeah.
single.
Okay. Yeah. So if you made it this far into the
they
podcast,
made it. This has been entertaining as hell.
Yeah. If you've made it this far into the podcast, the fun thing is we just put out a single called "Shallow Water." It's on
Beautiful.
YouTube. It's on Spotify. It's on Apple Music, and you can find it under the artist name Grandma, Grandma, as you'd spell grandma. I'm also on Instagram and Twitter at @ATLGrandma. Other than that, Joseph Arthur and I have some exciting songs for the world to hear, I think.
Very exciting. I'm super excited about them.
Super
I'm as
excited
excited about those as I am about my own solo record. And my solo
man.
record is fire.
Have they been mastered yet? Or
No, they
No,
haven't. It's the last step.
And
Process.
Neil Pogue, shout out Neil Pogue. He might mix one of Downtown Life, right?
That's the plan. That's the plan. Cool.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for coming on, Liam.
Thank you.
AKA Grandma. Much
Awesome.
respect, much love.
Awesome.
And Ehud, thank you.
Yeah, Ehud, thank you so
Sorry I
much.
yelled at both of you guys for looking at your phones.
It's
I'm
okay.
uptight about that
this
kind
is
of thing.
this is why I pull out my phone. I'd
Okay.
like to thank all our supporters
Oh, word up.
in the United States, the UK, France, Canada, Spain, Australia, South Africa, Thailand, Denmark,
Damn.
and the Isle of Jersey, which is
Boom.
the largest of the Channel Islands. Thank you for listening.
Thanks
and
for
downloading
supporting.
and supporting.
Thanks, everybody. Follow me on Instagram at Joseph_Arthur. And we'll see you next time on Come to Where I'm From.
See you next time, folks.
Bye. That's cool.
Flew by.
That's about the right size. Hi, this is Joseph Arthur. Thanks for checking out Come to Where I'm From. Please support us on Patreon, patreon.com/Come to Where I'm From. We are an independent podcast, and any contributions you can make are greatly appreciated.